Hello, my name is Carlos Urban, and today we're going to talk about two different neutral density filters. Most of this video is going to be a tutorial to take pictures with a 10 stop, what they call the big stopper, which is the most challenging of filters to use. This picture that you see here is probably my best picture, and it was taken with a 10 stop neutral density filter. So it's I took this a while back with my D7000, and if you see the settings, it was at f10 and 13-second exposure. It was right before sunset, and this is the East Coast, so the light was hitting the ocean, and this is the result that I got. So before what I like to do before showing you the video is one of the things that you may want to do is to print a one of these ND filter cards. So if you just Google ND filter charts, okay, you'll find many of them. I found this one that I liked a lot, this one here. So let's look at this one. Let's see, it's from Vision. Okay, and if you go so this is a type of effect that you can get with neutral density filters. So what it does is, even though you're in daylight, you can have even like 30 seconds stop, and when that exposure and when that happens, then this is the type of effect that you can get. It's a beautiful effect, and you can get very creative with this. So here is the chart. Okay, so basically the way this chart works is as follows. Here you have 0 means no filter, okay, and it goes from 1 to 20. Basically, you know the neutral density filters 10 is almost black, so I've never used one higher than 10. So I'm going to show you. I did one with a neutral density number 3 and one with a neutral, and most of the video is about the neutral density 10, and I did it in the most challenging of circumstances, which is the sunset. It is very challenging because it's getting very dark, so it's very difficult to focus and so on. So how does this work? The way that it works is, let's say that you were shooting without a filter, and you put an aperture priority, you put it, let's say f16, and it tells you that your shutter speed, let's assume ISO 100, is 1/15th of a second. 1/15th of a second, if you put a 3-stop filter, so you go all the way over here, you see, so you have 3 stop, right? Then you have to put one half or 1/2 of a second. Okay, so that's what, to get the same exposure. And then when you go to 10, okay, you have to go to 1 minute. Okay, now I will show you some tricks. So if you cannot go in your camera up to 1 minute, because a lot of cameras go up to 30 seconds, or you can go into the bulb mode, but then you need a timer, and so it gets a little bit complicated. So this is the theoretical part. By the way, it works both ways. So let's say you had the filter and it had 30 seconds, and you want to take it without the filter. Sorry, turn off the air conditioner. Then you know that without a filter is 1/30th of a second. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch a video that I did, and I apologize. I did it with my iPhone, and for me the most important thing is for you to see everything that I was doing. So this video shows what I did yesterday when I used the 3-stop neutral density filter. By the way, I made a mistake. I said 10 stop here, but it's really the 3-stop. I got a little confused. Tricks for the price of one. So we want to get the sun like in a stardust. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set it to f22. Okay. Just aperture priority. Again, have the 10 stop neutral density filter. And I don't have to worry about focusing because it's already pre-focused. You know, with the sunset it's a little tricky. Sometimes just keep taking pictures. I'm gonna take some more, and then when we go into Lightroom I'll show you all the different sets that we took. So what I did here is, and sorry that I didn't explain before, when I shoot landscapes, I usually do bracketing. And bracketing, I'm not going to go through a lot of detail here if you don't know what bracketing is, but I will put so that the camera takes 2 stops less and 2 stops more. And then from there, I choose the picture that I like the most. The most important thing is when you put a 3-stop neutral density filter, because it's not that dark, then you can basically put an aperture priority, and if it's not dark, then it will work on aperture priority. So I'm gonna show you the result of what I got. Oh, sorry. Let me put this in pause for a second. So here is the pictures that I took yesterday. I picked, the best ones. So this is without a neutral density filter. If you remember from the chart that we saw before, so without a neutral density filter, it was 1/15 of a second, okay? And if I look for 3-stop, 1/15 of a second, 3-stop would be 1/2 of a second, between 1.5 and 1 second, because remember that the light is changing. It's the sunset, so it's changing constantly. Like I said in the video, you can get away with aperture priority, and you'll see that you can do it. So let's take these 2 pictures, okay? One without the neutral density filter and one with the neutral density filter. And we have to put it in close-up because here, so there is not much of an effect with the 3-stop. What we really wanted to see is the water. The water here is you can see that it's a little bit choppy, and here it's smooth, but it's not that different. Still, I mean, I like very much how the shot came out, and when I finished processing this shot, by the way, you see, I took the one that was 1 stop underexposed. So when I finish with this particular shot, this was the end result of what I edited. So I was quite happy with the way it came out, especially the sun rays. Also, when I said that I'm showing you a trick for the prices too, is that I put it at f22 so you get this type of effect of the sun. Okay, so now let's look at the other video, which talks about the 10-stop neutral density filter. I'll tell you in advance that I'm showing you all the process that I went through, so it's gonna take like 10 or 15 minutes because I want you to see all the adjustments that I had to make. This filter is practically black. I mean, if you see the filter, and I'll show you later on, if you see this filter is black, so it's very, very challenging. And aperture priority did not work, because what happens when you do aperture priority is that the camera doesn't know, and for me to do the chart, the light was changing. So these are the most challenging of circumstances, and I did it on purpose because I wanted to make sure that if you get all that I did here, then you'll be able to do the 10-stop neutral density filter under almost any circumstance. The thing I did is I put the neutral density filter, right? And what I did is I put it in manual focus, okay? So as you can see right now, so let me pause here for a second. So what I did is I usually autofocus before putting the neutral density filter, but because it's so dark, and here you can see how dark it is, it will not focus when it's so dark. So what you do is you pre-focus, in autofocus, and then you just put it in manual and shoot the rest of the pictures in manual. If I see through here, it's very, very dark. So I need to go 10 stops. You can do several things. You can leave it on aperture priority and let the the camera do everything. So let's try that first. It's saying that it needs 10 seconds. Okay, so let's see. Now the light is changing very quickly. So the picture that I took before, 1/10 of a second, you see, so this is very dark. So obviously it's more than 10 seconds, okay? Now, I have it at f/22. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm actually gonna change it to 16, f/16. So I'm gonna go down a stop and try again with aperture priority. Let's see what happens. Good thing is that since it's pre-focused already, you don't have to worry about while calculating the f-stop. Now this is a tricky situation because the light is changing all the time. So you see this is still too dark. So here we can see in the histogram that it's about 3 stops. So 3 stops means that we have to go like to 30 seconds. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna change to f11. Okay, so I'm changing here to f11, and I'm gonna, with f11, let's see if it's any better. If not, then I have to go to manual. Okay, so it's not much better. There's like 3 stop difference. So we're gonna have to go to 30 seconds. I'm gonna put it in pause for a second. So one of the things that happens in aperture priority is that the metering, when it's so dark, is very, very difficult for the metering to work properly. And that's exactly what was happening here. So I'm gonna keep this going, and you'll see the adjustments that I had to make. By the way, this video is more for intermediate, but for beginners, the only thing is that if you've never shot in manual, there is other videos that I can show where you can shoot in manual. But for now, just, you see this mode button in your camera and maybe somewhere else, just put it in manual and just follow along with what I'm showing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it now in manual mode, okay? So, well, every camera is different, but, so hold on a second. I'm going to go to manual mode. I have it on Aperture Priority, okay? So, here is my mode sign, so you find the mode sign. Now, I'll change it to manual. So we had before 10 seconds and that didn't work. So let's see. So you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna change it to 30 seconds. Okay, so F11. And I'm gonna go to 30 seconds. You can see here, 30 seconds. Okay, so let's see what happens. I'm going to pause it, so you'll have to wait the 30 seconds. So here we can see it's getting much, much better. Again, this is the sunset, so we actually want it a little bit underexposed. I think we're about a stop and a half, okay? So what we're going to do is go to, I'm going to change it to stop and a half, so let me go to, here is my, 6. See, ISO 100. So we're gonna try once more, and I'm gonna put it on pause so you don't have to wait. There we go. Beautiful. Now I actually want to go one stop lower, because you see how you have some highlights here? So I'm actually want to go one stop lower. We are at 5.6. I didn't like 5.6 anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to F11. Okay, F11. Sorry if it's difficult to. Okay, and I'm going to change the ISO. I'm going to increase the ISO. Okay, so now, one second, I want to be showing you everything that I'm doing, so I'm going to, okay, so I'm going to change now the ISO. The ISO is at ISO 100. We're going to go one stop higher, okay? Actually, I'm going to put it 250. So let's see. So I'm going to pause it again. So you'll have to wait 30 seconds. Beautiful. This is perfect. Because it's a sunset, I actually want it a little bit underexposed. Okay, actually it's a beautiful exposure, and I'll explain the histogram later in the video. Okay, there is tiny bit of highlight, the blinking in the sun, which is perfect. I'm going to take one more shot because I really want to see if I can catch the sun now coming down. By the way, I'm using the timer. You can use a cable release, but I know a lot of people don't have a cable release, so you can always set it on timer. And it's very important, whenever you take a picture with your tripod, remember to put it, to turn off the VR, okay? We have it in manual focus. We already focused before when we had it in the, without the ND filter, so we don't need to focus again. And it's so dark, that it's not going to focus. So you need to pre-focus. So another beautiful picture. So I'm going to take a couple more. So I'm going to pause here because I kept taking pictures, and one of the things that I ended up doing is I ended up shooting at f16 and f22 so that I could, facing the sun, get this stardust. So let me show you some of the pictures that I took, okay? So this picture is without the ND filter, right? So, it's interesting that is. So it looks like noise, but it's not noise. So this is the water, So this is the water without an ND filter. And now this is with a 10-stop neutral density filter. See? It is a dramatic difference, okay? So this is another shot. So one thing that I did is, I decided that this picture, I wanted to see what it looked in black and white. So this is the picture actually that I chose. This is how it came out of the camera. One second, it's, Lightroom is a little bit slow. Okay, so this is the way it came out of the camera. So again, the water, beautiful, the sun. But since I took a picture that was very similar yesterday, I decided to play with it a little bit, and then towards the end I said, why don't we just put it in black and white? So I put it in black and white, and this is the result that I got. And I'm really happy with it. So this is basically the tutorial. I mean, the 10-stop, like I said, the technique is you can try with Aperture Priority, but typically with Aperture Priority, because it's so dark, it's going to fool the metering and it's not going to work. So you have to basically go to you have to take it without the neutral density filter, go to one of these charts like I showed you before. Now, why is it that I wasn't using the chart? You're probably saying, well, you said at the beginning use the chart, and I said not use the chart. I also told you that this is the most challenging situation that you could have. The reason why I was not using the chart is because the light was changing all the time, and I didn't want to miss the beautiful sunset. So I had to leave the neutral density filter on. I couldn't basically keep on taking it off, putting it on. Imagine if you're on the beach. I mean, with all that sand, you don't want sand to get. So typically, you have to leave the filter on, and that's why that situation. So the beauty of manual is that you can do a little bit of trial and error. Okay. By the way, the other thing that I did not show, and I don't want to confuse you, but remember when I did aperture priority and it was 3 stops too low? I mean, it was you needed 3 stops more of exposure. Well, in the camera, you can put exposure compensation and put +3 or +4, and then do the aperture priority again, and that would compensate for the 3 stops. I have when I use the neutral density filter, I usually shoot in manual because I can make changes very quickly. When I don't use the neutral density filter and I can use aperture priority, then I use aperture priority because then I don't waste time and I can catch the sun, like for example, this sun right here, the sunset. I mean, a minute later, the sun is gone. So there is what is this blurry? I think, oh, there it's processing. So you put an aperture priority. I like to bracket because sometimes the underexposed I like it a little better, and it's easier to sometimes recover the shadows or open the shadows actually uh, than if it's a little bit overexposed. So anyway, this is the end of the tutorial. I know that it took 20 minutes. It's a little long, but the 10-stop neutral density filter is not a simple subject, and I want it to be as comprehensive as possible. I apologize the video with my iPhone that it was a little shaky. I'm looking at the camera and I forget where I have my iPhone, and then I realize that I'm not filming what I'm showing. I apologize. I use my iPhone because I've realized that by using a camera I cannot get really close to everything that I'm doing. So it's not meant to be super professional video. What I'm trying to do here is to be as didactic as possible. And I think the closer you see what I'm doing, the better it is. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and in the comments area you can put any questions. We'll probably do more videos about filters. I have polarizing filters and other filters. We'll probably do more explanation and different shots with a neutral density, especially when it's full daylight and not as difficult as the sunset. Thank you.